It is not about being a new person, but becoming the person you were already meant to be. Hi, beautiful people. How are you all doing? You're live on MO7 Plus, and this is the Regal Show with me, Kosia Purple. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook at MO7 Plus, and of course on Instagram at MO7_Plus. There's this candid issue that has got most Ghanaians talking. Can you guess? Anyways, let's go for a quick commercial break. When we get back, I would get to know if you were able to guess or not. Kindly do stay. Now, welcome back from that commercial break, guys. If you were able to guess, kudos. If you weren't, don't worry. The Regal Show is here to educate you more on social and political issues. So today, we are talking about transgender rights. We'll be looking at its definition, the causes, challenges, effects, disadvantages, and of course, the advantages of transgender rights. So one might ask, what is transgender? Transgender is a term given to people whose gender identity does not match the gender assigned to them by birth. Transgender is a term given to people whose gender identity does not match the gender assigned to them by birth. Now, these people are commonly known as the LGBTQ+, which is the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender right. The Q in there means queer or questioning. And so, do you know the first country to practice transgender is Germany? Well, let me enlighten you more on other countries that also have the transgender rights legalized. So we have Norway, which started in June 2016. The next one is France, which also started in November 2016. And India, which started at January 2014. Now let's talk about the causes of transgender. One of the causes of transgender is unemployment. Most people say because of the economy of our country, it's lured people into this thing. But I think it is not supposed to be so. Why don't you learn a trade rather than being a trans? Now we look at some effects of transgender. The first one says emotional and psychological abuse. The second one says physical and sexual violence. The third one is sexually transmitted infections like hepatitis and HIV. Fourth one says substance misuse. The fifth one, mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. Now we'll pick this one by one and unravel them. So the first one, which is emotional and psychological abuse. No matter how old you are in the transgender thing you are doing, one day you might come back to your senses and realize, no, I was born a lady. Why am I changing to a man? Sometimes it leaves nothing but emotional trauma. You yourself, you'll be in the room and you'll be thinking about who to talk to. And most of the times, you're not able to talk to someone because you feel they might think you are just saying, excuse me to say, trash. And so it brings emotional and psychological abuse. You're not okay. In your head, you feel like things are not going on well. The second one says physical and sexual violence. Physical and sexual violence here means that physically, if this is supposed to become a law, and people say that if it becomes a law and you are caught practicing transgender or you are caught doing this lesbian and gay stuff, you'll be shot to death. If something like this is passed as a law, you should know you are in trouble. And the sexual violence, because you are seen as a transgender, anybody at all who is also in this act will want to do things with you, even without you accepting it. Sometimes they go against your will. You are into this actually, but you really don't want to do it. And someone will just meet you up and decide to do that to you. So the third one says sexually transmitted infections like hepatitis and HIV. This, I must say, is self-explanatory. You contract diseases such as syphilis and all that. Sometimes the men have gonorrhea, and then the ladies, it tends to lead them to be barren women, which is very sad. The fourth one says substance misuse. Substance misuse, no, ebiana, one bema ni bema eshia, oye gay. you are always misusing the sperm. Say be an old baby here as sperms no. And they are producing some beautiful baby now one actually say upipigun kwa. So the fifth one says that mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. So like I mentioned earlier, that sometimes you be left alone in your room thinking you are depressed. What is happening to me? What happened to me? Why did I even take this step? Sometimes you don't have anyone to talk to. You be depressed in the room, and before you realize, something will just tell you to kill yourself, and that's the end of your life. Wawa kata will life short, which is very, very pathetic if you should ask me. Now let's look at some challenges of being a transgender. The first one is rejection. Secondly, is lack of legal protection. Third one says lack of affection. The fourth one, violence against trans people. Again, lack of health care. More so, poverty. And then again, identity document. Now we are taking this one after the other and unravel as well. You are still watching The Regal with me, Akosia Purple, here on MO7 Plus. And so let's look at rejection. If you're a transgender, you might be rejected every point in time of your life. In your family, at your workplace, even in society, people don't want to come near you. People you were friends with, people you sat in the same classroom with don't want to come near you because you are a transgender. So rejection. The second one says lack of legal protection. Lack of legal protection here means that because you're a transgender, as will be you understand? Maybe you have a case, and let's say the police or the military is supposed to come to your aid. Say about muchim so muzo a transgender umfileze na wakasa na ye no cry unprescribed. So why should we come in and you get it? And so please, it's lack of legal protection. It affects you when you are a transgender. The third one says lack of affection. A group of people now the same energy of love we give to people, you don't get it because you're a transgender. I know someone is saying it's not supposed to be so because you're nipa, but you know we are in a society where we don't want this to become a law. So if you are like this, sometimes to say love there conditional, unconditional. So the fourth one says violence against trans people. Violence. We best say violence. Like basa basa, because we people feel are not part of human beings. How do you feel if as a Messi and then as a protect a group of people and you people there's no protection over you? Like it's something else. So the fifth one says lack of health care. Imagine say yare wako hospital. O person okonya ayaresa okoye doctor na ehun say ana akwe o transgender kire akosi oti we onye transgender ombra kwana e bia na akosi the headache na baaye so wo de HIV ye be hwe headache na ejao. It's very sad. So the sixth one is poverty. Poverty in the sense that you're transgender, just say bia obi nim so you're transgender no be employ you e won a company mu or the person's institute or something like that. So if people know that you're a transgender, sometimes they don't want to employ you because they feel because you're a transgender, you might lure other people, your colleague at work, you might lure him or her to do a thing like that. So the sixth one is poverty. Imagine, say, you're a transgender, and most people that have companies, institutes, organizations, most of them don't want to be employing people who are transgender simply because they feel if you're a transgender and you come into their company, you would lure people who are not transgenders to become a transgender. Or maybe if he or she employs you, time I was all day ejumano, sa akodi ebesi or ejuma was say or looking for new pictures to like. Time I was say ejuma, then you're out there pulling your those kind of things. And so yes, it leads you to poverty because you have no work to do. You just be at home and be slaying and all that, which brings no money sometimes. And so the seventh one says identity document. Identity document here means that when you weren't a transgender and you were a lady or a guy precisely, you took a picture of yourself to fill your documents and all that. So now you are a transgender and you want to go out of the country or you even want to go to school or something like that. Now you have two identities. Yes, sir. How are you going to explain yourself? If there's an opportunity, you need it. Like you need this, you need to grab this opportunity because of these two identities of yours, and you can't have that opportunity, which is very, very sad. So let's look at some disadvantages of transgender rights. Now, when we come to the disadvantages, it's a disadvantage to the opposite, but a challenge to the trans. In the sense that, let's say I'm a transgender, okay, and you are not. And you have a company and you're looking for people to employ in your company. When I come and I am a transgender, you wouldn't want to employ me, but maybe I have the skills, the capabilities and abilities to make your company move on to a higher ground. But because I am a transgender, you sack me. Those people you have employed in your company can't give out the best. When it becomes that, it becomes a disadvantage to you, the owner of the company, but a challenge to me, the transgender. Now, secondly, another example, let's say there's an old woman. There's an old woman who is very tired, wananti sour bread, you know, the aged. Sometimes they work and they are tired. And this old woman or old man needs water to drink. And from where she's standing, and where the nearby shop is, it's a nearby shop though, but it's very far for the aged because to me, Nancy enko draw. In terms of that. And there's this transgender person. And let's say the old woman or old man has heard of this particular guy as a guy or a transgender. Do you know that at a point in time, the woman will be like, maybe the guy goes to the woman and be like, oh, Pacho then you're mental wana. Some people will be like, hey, JJ may start insulting. Mini. You see that kind of thing. It becomes a disadvantage to the old woman, but to the transgender, it's a challenge. Old woman, if she dies, because transgender no, it doesn't mean so but that's what people think in our society. Do you know that the transgender rights has effect on the society? The very first effect it has on society is about the fact that children below the age of 20 years might become a victim. Now, when this becomes a right in a society, you know, children are fast learners, and we have computer babies now, where they get to see that people are turning themselves to the gender that wasn't assigned to them by birth. Let's say a male turning himself to a female. When they begin to observe a thing like this, before you'd realize they are also practicing it. Now, this brings me to my second point, which is about the lack of parental guidance on the usage of phones. We are not saying it is wrong for you to buy tablets and phones for your kids. Of course, some of these kids use these tablets and phones to learn. Sometimes people say, no, I'm not sure, so I want to make a cable and all that. Yes, because of the toys they watch. But sometimes we don't really guide them. We are not always with them to observe or see what they are looking at on the internet. Let's say a child of 5, 6, or probably 7 years goes to school, and you don't want to see this child as a child because in recent times, children are really not children, some way, somehow. Yes. So they go to school and they are conversing. Let's say there's a trend on social media about these musicians and all the video vixens and all that. A child can be very smart to pick up this idea. When it is break time and they are gathered conversing, now I can, you see a crapin polo, ya kola onim or the. So when he or she gets home, or funny tablet and the phone now, for all you know, you senior, just say you log in your menu before you realize you or she go and chance on it. Not just say, when who say, and a man for to me, you are more the better social. Oh, fair, come on. Obe hu onyin pe na wa start say your baby sound say no sua we he na for we fi say ne nkola brim you weren't really guiding him or her. So these are some of the effects it has on the society. So let's look at the advantages of transgender rights. There are none. Yes. Do you expect to have some advantages of transgender rights? No. If you do that, you're rather bringing curses to yourself. Because this happened in the Enko Bible Mukakra, Sodom and Gomorrah. When this happened, you know what really happened to them for doing those kind of things. And so there are no advantages except of those who are bisexual. But you that you are not. It is as if you are not being appreciative of whom God has made you. And God is not happy about those who try to be who they are not. And so please stick to who you are. I would want to use this medium to advise anyone who is a transgender. I am not here to criticize you. I am not here to condemn you. I am here to make you know that that is not the way. That is not the truth. That is not the life. Yes, I'm still quoting Bible because this is unacceptable on a more serious note. So please, if you are doing that because of cash, please work. Yes, the unemployment here in Ghana, like I stated early on, is quite colossal. Yes, it's very huge. Unemployment, yes. But then, why won't you involve yourself in a trade or something, an online business? There are people who have opened their doors to teach people on how to bake cakes, how to make power zones, how to make debtors, those kind of stuff. Kindly involve yourself, and that is far, far better. God himself will bless that rather than you being a transgender. Okay, so you being a transgender, every time people sleep with you, because if you sleep with one person, that's a nipano, sebi when you're HIV AIDS, or mouse canna, you would use half of that money to cure yourself. Alright, so MO7 Plus crew decided to go out to conduct a vox pop on transgender rights. I conducted a vox pop, and I can boldly say that most Ghanaians are not in support of the transgender rights. Let's take a look at the video. Transgender rights. You know what to be there? Patron way. Now, patron person besides so did to one.
I should have been because I'm born by no youth na here but so I'm boy. It's now once I'm penny for need you too.
Okay. Patron says sometimes to be or bar. Now a person die in the home bearment, now across the sun home, or to miss the sacral the sexual organ to become a guy. Osha, then they pushing the money to me, sir.
She say I know I say, scan your mind. Instead of say youth need almost a be age man or moon pennies, or quick money. It's a no near pushy youth in my year in your medicine. Okay.
And transgender rights. Someone almost someone from a male to female, female to male. Sure, didn't know yes, sir.
Sometimes from economy. We say economy now about who you know,
okay,
but not what you know. Wow, name I did be my about because of support, no support, you know. Want to mean now sometimes pressure not in one could rush any money, but a say obasa someone is nipa de obia no said what's no senka say nipa bema say or bank young boy and sa I said young boy boy boba different no bema different no they say you follow the same procedure. Oh, sometimes I was say obi pay wire said they would say there obi pay wire and you was any can say okoye obi don't compare yourself to somebody.
Okay.
Because certain way and
okay, now okay say because of the economy. But some say the economy in favor a particular group of people now.
Yes. Economy in favor a particular group of people say. Until I make just say now no say the economy is here no. Say pay juma is about who you know, okay, not what you know. We are graduate na minimum obia. Inye juma. Sometimes obi a qualifier I was say oh baby with me yeah there. But because of when you move into young fan.
Oh, okay.
So anytime I say it's economy into you are also share frustration. One also the no one can cross and your man
you pastor me that say.
If we can be nipa kokwa bia ne na ka many feel na ka me ameka me here for we can be 14 years yeah no because I'm an architect onupa is system me e ka me we can be a teaching am shishinyen eta ka onupa ite ni we can be e na enu shi na me start amebote me ka onupa egbu ite still am shishinyen okay bia na me target age of 15 e ke 14 can ba way ni a future society a fracture ni oba ko obi buy a school shon no expect that e na nu papa ko they attach na shi bona fish can no fit here won go say ohin abanyam adejo bi yo na ni ya na wule kan yo ni popo ba so ti da ke ye sha nu papa ko ni ke mi ba e ke gon ti kun kon mi ta fracture enya no to pay you keleba nanu keleba eke liba holo en ta fracture ni in boche kwa lo bo follow no follow se na mo ko ba here nge ni nye ke apasipo ni gbepo tani ka mo mama gbe ame ko e ba do wa because I'm a victim of society ni wa hu wa ne kan bi na ni e ha ni ne jomoko abana kan ma dagbe na baba ni ma because loko ni you are mo ke pata ma ko hin e ni ga nyen ko ni ba lo su afra che nyen ko ba fo ma ni mo ba fo me je loko e wo ji ba fo me wo yen wo ba fo me o hian do me ka pa se yen ko me ndomo na nsumo
Ofora don akotowe. I think the transgender rights should be inculcated in our constitution.
No, I don't think it should.
So I'm sure that if you had to be the president of Ghana, you wouldn't allow this, right?
Not at all.
Why?
Because one, I'm a Christian, and two, because I'm a Christian, I'm not the first person. I won't be the first person to turn the Bible.
Okay.
But the Bible says you should marry.
Yes.
And you understand?
Yes.
So he created a man to a woman, a man and a woman. Why then if I am a man, should I change my sex? Or if another person change his sex? No. You have been created a man, you should be a man.
Okay.
So that you know, just to fulfill nature, be of yourself. That's what I know.
So, what would be your advice to those people who do that? Doesn't mean they don't read the Bible, so they don't know what is going on or something.
Now we have changed. You see, when the devil wants to take the world, he will make you know that certain things are your rights. So the rights issues have made people thought that they can do anything
They want.
Exactly. So they are doing it out of ignorance.
Okay.
Because the law is backing them. That's what they are doing.
Oh, okay.
So they are all acting on based on rights, but it is senseless and stupidity to change all those things.
Okay. Gay ni lesbian is same. Would you saying?
Me nkwade ka me nkwade anka nya de papa kra. Senya bema befa bema to de nya de papa enye. When you have sodium and gomorrah, you make the bush, best say, or money now, be a bassa. And ya the papa back. About the saying of them to me for them. Yana no more start and with Sanya will be you. Yana no that gave this Sanya, every you walk, and then a bema before bema. And ya the papa, me them in support to Sadia no. Get the coming Kuan campaign for form and Nancy. No more stop with Sadia. Every them did the chino with you when you may see no pushing Colado, and no more Sadia. And ya the papa. When you not let the bad luck upon Memo and the every. And ya the papa, a poor man who Sika, and ya my son, Yama Posum put your woman to me, because of Sadia went. Ya the papa, and ya the papa back. And the bad luck knew how and Abba. Didn't Yapo you or Barney Bema. So Barney Bema and nothing. No more no masin Doris and one when you. A bad son of Bema, who to me my Bema fountain. Now or bounce who do such a show young Papa. And ya the papa. Anyone saw about those I see a honor, a bear man is set of farm. Sana Yamekani. It is a bear man for Senka Amu Ebuya Chumuchuma. And come back now, wow, we are Chumuchu. Wow, we are Chumuchu. So, Mamma, no papa, you Chumuchu, one bed now. Eh? Oh, Mamma, you are Sansu Shashon. So, Mamma, no papa, your mustache, one bed now. And yes, some would not know what drink. And yes, so beer and poor Piasamo. Or be poor, be in Naya, when name you pay Pia to Doyamo. No idea or how ever more money be beer said yet. The Selfin and Colombo Bombo. On both sides, ever may have Bassa, who work on about 2 years, no more starting yet. Because someone, what you say, it's a coming quad, yes, I deal with it. You're chum cramming per se, because and ya the papa.
We have found the president of Ghana. Transgender rights, so be here to listen by law now. Okay, also sometimes amount for a case, send economy na yin ntino. Ntino mo some de mo ho dom because some feel say, e some man for nyes kapa wo. Say e bia odon ho, wo ye bema, odon ho koma bema bi na sabi o ne wo da, o ma uska. Omo mo yes and what would you say to them?
And there meaning yes, I know more bread. Bema no more bread for doing that. Me support it.
It is saying our shop a faith. Now you'd be about or page you watching a page but or a lesbian. That's what Bana say or so person you man no come anywhere you man.
Oh, yeah, why not?
Sir, I don't support lesbian as him no.
No, so like excuse my words, say bia obi ba ha say so obi nim say oye bia. You say bia ono aka and so obi nim say oye. And the ejuma no oye.
No babe.
You say bia one na ye. Because of the why din ejuma ni ti meaning all supporting no that's not.
Tin pasho of waso.
Me first so crack.
Mommy pasha dey.
Hey mama. Yankopon boy and say. Yam dress as so yam na woni and very
Pasha.
na me sure say lesbians na o moken. I to say oba ne be ma wo fa won echi. Ni niama because ya possible say be ma be shia. Na say ndemu no o ma fa won anim so mo echi. E ho ne be da adore. Nti Bible kwetia.
Pasha.
Nti say eba emfa ho toma. Na ehihye Yankopon ni timpo so embem. Say ye be wo ne ye be dora asase so. E de yaro so ba.
Pasha na man for tai ka se sa di we enye really physical na e na spirit bi etai chi enye kwa ususun se e yampa na.
Yes spirit bia. Mama, wo ye bibia mindset e na wo de yo.
Okay.
Nkrofo ye jisika. Wa dream bebe mse obeye bi. E wa mindset na wo de be sa ade no. Obi an show bi. Ye ko school kra na ebrim ye bi. So bi ma nti no sen sa time na spirit e nkrofo say spirit bi na dada say. Wan kasa we si wa dream people.
So
babo sa abra. Okay. Nti ne yesu hu bia na take.
Pasha na ya ta ehun kofo bebre a otu ahu omo town na ya o se ebi no.
Ebi nam ha mmema na ye won se mba na mba no so ye won se mmema nti no wo mu kwa obi ankyerɛw wan kasa wo hu dress ni ye bia mo de kwa mmema sha asomade wa hye wig abo bezia address nti no won nam kwa
Na ya hu omo, how do you feel?
metumi dina hwe won di bisase nti bema na wo ye no hu say because when say bema na so say na me bo ne pedia no mba ne pedia e principle nti bema ni hu number we na so address kwa mama so bema na wabo blaze ayo for me.
For me, last question. Say ka sembi tra ban because I say amount for the pressure to a ban so say or just di we nembe right or Ghana hanum senti amount platform ne say can be betray Ghana ban about transgender rights then I'll be catch ban.
Say yam papa president nsi so dia o ka hoto nipa bia o wi ase ahoto e fa ho di menipa say na yam boy o say yam ra asase so ne ye ho nto ye say yanka say ye the right thing say yam say papa na kasa no mi akasa true ni speeches mi hu so njintu nti ye besere mi say mo njintu sisi akra na njintu mi e koso nti o mo njintu kra na on hwehwem na ne yakoso biara onyin firi ho na Ghana fo yenye ni onyam yenko yenye.
So these are the views of some Ghanaians, and I would also love to use this medium to say something to those practicing transgender. I am not here to criticize you, neither am I here to condemn you, but please, this is not the right way. This is not the right way to get money. This is not the right way to be rich. So please, kindly involve yourself in a trade. There are people who have opened their doors to teach people on how to bake cakes, how to do the CCTV cameras, how to make power zones and all that. Why don't you involve yourself in such a thing rather than being a transgender? I learned the transgender pays. I don't know how true that is, but imagine you sleeping with someone. You're a transgender, sleeping with another man. And later you realize that this man is an HIV patient. You would use that money he used in paying you to go and, cure yourself. Oh yes, sir, you've lost like 20% of that money. It will be cause nyanya infections, so this is not the right way. And I'll also like to use this medium to please plead with the government to do something about the huge unemployment rate here in Ghana so that our youth won't be found wanting. We are not what other people say we are, but we are what we know ourselves to be. and we are what we love, and that's okay. Couldn't have done this without the help of my producer and director, Miss Helena, and of course my DOP, Manasseh. My name is Akosia Pepo. Thank you so much, Sherry's viewers, for sticking and staying with me. We get to do this again on Friday. Until then, stay safe and have a peaceful day.